We got the Nationals taking on the Yankees, Braves, and Twins. Houston, Philadelphia. We got a doubleheader going on between the Royals and Cleveland. And we got Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Plays and analysis coming in all of those here. While you're hanging out with us, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell to get notified when we're going live here. Dan Alexander being joined to break down this slate by Mark Zinno and Bryan Power. That's right, the sloppy parlay duo cashes already to start off the week, even though I have it saying Steve Merrill underneath Bryan Power's name. Hair still stronger than our friend Steve Merrill. So right out of the gate, in a strong start here with the morning wager crew.
Here's your first best bet of the show, Dan. There was a 0.0% chance that name was getting turned to Bryan Power.
None. That was out.
Less than none.
I was gonna start with it as that's much better. At least we had Bryan Deuce correct.
Welcome
All right,
back.
boys.
Are you done crying? Are you done crying in your Cheerios there, sweetheart? Are you done? That's whining about
that's on me, gentlemen. To start off the week, that one's on me. Zinno,
let's talk. Like me to be called.
Let's talk. Let's talk at least about the fact that Aaron Judge continues to just not be from this world. I saw a tweet that you had yesterday. Can we just admit that this dude is the best baseball player on the globe right now? It's basically a 2-horse race between him and Shohei, and I'm not sure how close of a race it is, at least this season. But Washington and the Yankees. While Aaron Judge might be it was his 50th and 51st homer that he hit yesterday, you think still today Washington might at least have a chance to hang around in this ball game. Why is that, Zinno?
Well, because there's a roly-poly on the mound who pretends to be a major league pitcher. His name is Nestor Cortez. I mean, that's simply what it boils down to. Cortez is he's a bad pitcher. That's the bottom line. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The only thing bigger than his 5.45 ERA on the road is his waistline. So this is a guy who gives up, home runs more on the road than he does at home. Opposing hitters are batting .287 against him. He is not a good starter right now, and certainly not one that should be favored by nearly a 2-to-1 price. So from that standpoint, I don't have a problem fading Nestor Cortez in this spot here. The other part that matches up well with this for the Nationals is that they're starting Mitchell Parker, who is a lefty. And it has been well documented on this show by me and many other shows by me. The Yankees can't hit left-handed pitching, period. Kiter Martero held the Yankees to 2 hits. More no-name lefties have held the Yankees to 2 hits or less. They don't hit lefties well at all. So if it's not Aaron Judge doing all the heavy lifting in the game, then guess what? They're not going to score a bunch here. So I'm going to look to fade the Yankees coming off that big win, yesterday with all the energy at the stadium, now having to go out on the road. Granted, it's only New York to D.C. It's an incredibly long flight, but that's not really the point. They have to travel. The Washington Nationals didn't. They were home yesterday against the Braves. So, this is a spot here where I look at it and go, yeah, I'm kind of comfortable. I'm sorry, they were actually in Atlanta yesterday. I apologize. We got that backwards. But this is still a spot where I'm comfortable taking the +1.5 on the fact that the Yankees aren't going to score that much. And, guess what? Nationals got a good chance to put some runs up.
All right, so the Nats hanging around. Hop below in the comments. Let us know how you're looking to bet that one. But taking the 1.5, not too bad of a price to do it either for the Washington Nationals is how we kick off the show here today. BP, for you, you want Braves and Twins. And we're talking total here in this one, 7:40, the start time. And it looks like we're going to have Fried and Ober. So Ober translating to the over. For total douche, I mean Bryan Power. So how are we looking to break this one down, BP? I'm sorry.
Unbelievable. You lose Dan Alexander. You lose America. All right. Well, we're not going to talk about Ober first. We're going to talk about Max Fried. Got a problem walking guys this season, Dan. Not last time out, mind you. He only walked one batter in a 3-2 loss to the Phillies. However, 11 different times this season, Fried has walked at least 3 batters. Why is that significant? Well, coming into this season, he only had 10 outings in his career with 3 or more walks. So something is awry with Fried's control here in 2024. And over his last 5 starts, ERA 5.06. So not in great form either. Fried is a southpaw, of course. That too important to note. Why? Because Minnesota, very good against left-handed pitching. 3rd in batting average in all of MLB, and at home, number 1 in WRC plus against Southpaw. So I think the Twins are likely, very likely, as a matter of fact, to put up a crooked number in this one. They're probably the right side, but I do want to look at the total. You mentioned Ober, who's starting tonight for the Twins. He's been great for 2 months now, no doubt about it. 3 earned runs or less allowed in 11 straight starts. But one thing to keep an eye out for, he's a fly ball pitcher. Weather tonight in Minneapolis, I think, by all reports, conducive to the ball traveling out. Atlanta, is disappointing as that lineup has been, and I know Mark has talked about how disappointing that lineup has been all season, but they're still 4th in home runs hit. So even with this recent success, Ober has allowed at least 1 homer in 7 of his last 11 starts. So while I do think the Twins are the right side in this game, over 8 is going to be my bet of choice here on this battle of playoff hopefuls.
A little over action here on a Monday morning. While you're hanging out, make sure you hit that like button. You're watching us on social. Follow us, and we will stay right there in your timeline, getting you the actionable info that you know and love. You've been seeing going on the ticker below us as well. You can get a play today from your favorite capper for just $5. That's right, a $5 bill will get you a best bet from your favorite capper. So if you've never bought from us before, it's a great time to try it out. Zinno, you've been seeing it damn well here in August. And as we're nearing the end, probably a month, you're going to be sad to see go because you have just been cashing week after week here, whether the leaderboard reflects it or not, my friend. But I'm wondering.
I'm only good in baseball months that begin with A because I was number 1 in April and I've been number 1 in August. So, just get the rest of the months out of the way and I'll be fine.
There's definitely a joke in there somewhere about a hole,
yes,
something. But we won't go there because we're a family show and we have decorum here. But what do you have locked and loaded for $5 Monday here that we're rocking? We do have Houston, Philadelphia. We're going to talk this doubleheader coming up in Kansas City and Cleveland, and best bets coming your way. But what do you have locked and loaded on over at the page?
4% best bet for $5 customer appreciation day. Not only that, Dan, I do have to give a mea culpa to the fans of the morning wager this morning. I told them that I would just have the $5 play. Well, guess what? I'm going to give you more than that. I have another package up on the site as well, a Monday night 3-pack for you guys there on the site. So we got a total of 4 plays up there, $5 customer appreciation day, Monday night 3-pack. Again, guys, I've been hanging on at number 1 for most of the month, and due to the Houston Astros screwing me last night, Yusei Kikuchi screwing me last night, I've officially dropped to number 2 in winning percentage. So there is that, because the push didn't get me over the top. You see, the push would have kept me, the win would have put me back at number 1, and the push made me stay below. So nonetheless, still having a great month, guys. Up over 24 units since the beginning of the month. So we are crushing it here in MLB. WT.buzz/MZ again to get that $5 play. Grab the smaller package just for a 3-pack. Look at the rest of the board with me, and we'll cash some tickets together. WT.buzz/MZ.
All right, guys, I know coming up in Best Bets, you are going to be eyeing Game 2 here of the 2-game set, the doubleheader here on Monday between Kansas City and Cleveland. But BP, I guess I'll get your thoughts here. As far as Game 1 is concerned, 1:10 is the start time. And, man, this series is huge. When you're talking about playoff implications, that's this stretch. This is huge as well. Absolutely. But I mean, this little stretch here for really both of these clubs, we're in that time of year where you're talking major playoff implications, and these teams are going to see each other quite a few times. It all starts with this doubleheader. So what are you thinking here in Game 1? We had Boss 429 checking in, asking maybe about an over in this one. How are you seeing Game 1 shaking out, at least? And we'll talk Game 2 and best bets coming up with Zinno.
Well, Reagan's is the one Royal starter that I actually like. All the other guys are overrated and trending in the wrong direction. Singer, Lugo, Lorenzen, not a fan of any of those 3. You talk about it being such a big series. Cleveland's got to be glad that they're getting it in their park. These are 2 teams, very similar, Dan. These 2 teams are much better at home than they are on the road. This will contradict a little bit of what we talked about on the morning wager this morning, Zinno, in Game 2, and I know he's going to reiterate that in a little bit. But the Royals' home road splits at the plate are pretty striking. They strike out a lot more. They walk a lot less on the road versus at Kauffman Stadium. All their numbers across the board at the plate drop a lot. I don't have a bet in the first game. Believe it or not, Cleveland at a plus price is a little tempting, as much as I do think Reagan's is the one Royal starter that I kind of like, just because I don't know if Kansas City should be favored in this spot. Despite the pitching matchup, Cleveland's a better ball club than Kansas City. Kansas City has overachieved a lot this year. You look at projection systems, power ratings, they're not up there. They're not. So I think there's a little bit of value on the guards at home in this first game, but full disclosure, it did not make my card.
Yeah, and Zinno, I know you have a best bet in game 2, something you guys touched upon, the morning wager. And again, folks, that's why you should be subscribed here. You can start your morning off with these two gentlemen each and every morning. Give you a little double play action, give you some best bets as well. I know you like game 2, but does anything in game 1 kind of set up the way that you're looking at game 2, or are you looking at them both in a vacuum?
Just a reminder, the best part of waking up is Bryan Power in your cup, or some version of that. I know.
Yes.
There he is. No, listen, this is unorthodox here, but we're a little unorthodox ourselves here when it comes to things when we do the morning wager and everything Bryan Power and I do together. It's completely unorthodox. That said, I want to focus on the second game of this doubleheader. Now, I know we get a little variance in doubleheaders. So, again, and this is a client play for me, guys. This is how much I really love this play. But I keep, I'll make it a smaller play just because of the variance of a doubleheader. It's just kind of hard to figure things out, especially when you're just focusing on the second game. But you're getting two bad pitchers who get a lot of run support. Alec Marshall goes for the Royals, has an ERA of 4.71 and a whip of 1.25. He's making his first start since July 29th, coming off the IL. And in the month of July, since then, he's posted an ERA of 6.86. So last time out, he wasn't very good. I'm not sure he's going to get much better. He also gets 5.53 runs of support per start. That's some of the best in Major League Baseball. Logan Allen goes for Cleveland. And I have heard through Bryan Power that his old man screams at the TV a lot when Logan Allen starts because he has a 6.05 ERA at home this year and was hit hard in his only previous start against the Royals. Allen, for some reason, gets 5.79 runs of support per start. Progressive Field, been an overpark for much of this season. I am hopeful that the first game is tight and low scoring. That way we get a lot of bullpen usage in the first game, meaning bullpens will be thin and scarce in the second game, and we should get some late runs here. Royals bullpen is trash no matter when you do it. I take the over 8.5 here in a vacuum, guys, as a singular play. It's on my card tonight. It's part of that other package I just mentioned before. One of the 3 plays out there. Give it to you for free right here. But Royals, Guardians, over 8.5 in game 2.
Great breakdown there. A little best bet teaser for our man Mark Zinno, looking towards that over for you in game 2. Shout out to Salvatore Letza over on TikTok. Got to give him a shout out. He came on here yesterday, or it was, I believe, Friday, and he was giving us a pitcher to record the first out of the game and hit it. 240 for the folks over there in the chat on TikTok. Shout out to you. So he's looking for a parlay in game 1 and game 2. So game 2, maybe you're looking towards that over. One of the teams correlated with how we're kind of looking at the KC Royals is my Philadelphia Phillies. Look at that for a masterful segue, BP. Find a way to bring up my Phillies and pump them up. They're taking on the Astros. And, I mean, this has all the makings of a terrific pitching duel with Blanco and Wheeler on the mound. The only problem is Blanco is coming off of a terrible start, whereas Zach Wheeler, sure, he's coming off of a loss for the Phillies, but he only gave up 2 runs over 6 innings in that loss, and that's kind of been the trend when Wheeler is on the mound. 2 runs or fewer in 9 of his last 10 outings here. So do they return to form here a little bit with the Phillies? They absolutely hit yesterday in this series finale against Kansas City, but does that continue as they take off the Astros here at home? Because another playoff implication type series that you're looking here. What do you think this one, how game 1's going to be looking to play out?
Yeah, 22 runs scored the last 2 days by your Phillies, Dan. If you listened to the Power 5 yesterday, I told you bet their team total over. That was a very easy winner. This is a horrible spot for Houston. One of the first things I do on Monday, when I'm handicapping the Monday MLB card, I should say, is let's see what the teams who played Sunday night are doing. Houston obviously was on Sunday night.
When you take a leak, that's usually what you do first thing on Monday.
Well, okay, well there we that is Yeah, that is true. Okay, so the second thing I do, thank you for clarifying on that. Anyway, all right. I too was burned in the first five by the Astros last night of all the innings to give up those 2 hits. It had to be the bottom of the fifth. Anyway, the Astros did win last night. Okay, but now they go to Philly. All right, after a tough series with Baltimore. That was a series. Honestly, the Astros should have done better than a split, Dan, because they were winning most of the series. I mean, both their losses came late. They played well, so they have to be a little disappointed to be coming off a series split. Now they go to Philly. You know better than anyone, the Phillies are great at home. They're 42-23 this season there. I mentioned the 22 runs scored on the road at Kansas City the last 2 days. And the Phillies, oh, by the way, have their ace, Zach Wheeler, going. I'm not a huge believer in Blanco down the stretch. You mentioned the bad start he had last time out. I think we're likely to see more regression from him. Yes, he's got a 3.14 ERA, but his expected ERA closer to 4. He's got a FIP of 4.36. 3 times in his last 5 starts, he's allowed at least 3 runs. And of course, Dan, the Phillies, number 2 in Major League Baseball in runs scored at home, 5.31. The Phillies are the right side. I agree with the way the market's moving in this one for the record. The Phillies are the right side. You may want to get creative with the first 5 or something like that. I also think there's going to be runs scored as well. The Phillies bullpen, as good as Wheeler is, the Phillies bullpen is not great, Dan. You know that. So I think there could be runs scored in this one as well.
Hey, Dan,
if runs are,
let me just add one thing here real quick about Blanco. Just if you go look at his numbers, and this is where BP is talking about a little bit with the regression. If you go look at his numbers, and they look really impressive, but if you he's been really fortunate with the opponents he's faced, particularly on the road. Really bad hitting teams, particularly on the road. Tampa Bay, Seattle, Toronto, San Francisco, the A's. 2 teams that he's faced on the road that he's actually done pretty well against that are actually decent offenses. In Boston and the Mets are 2 teams that typically score a lot more on the road than they do at home. So he's kind of had some scheduling luck along the way this year more than anything. And, when you start to see him against better lineups, like Boston on the road, he gave up 5 runs last time out. The Dodgers, he gave up 4 runs. So I think BP is right in a sense that there's a chance here that Blanco could be due for some regression, as they call it.
Yeah, so you're mentioning, potential hitting, things going over here. When BP was talking about it going over, he was talking about the Phillies bullpen as well in that part of the equation. Richie Lockhart is looking at the under 4.5 in the first 5, but it sounds like both of you guys, you want no part of an under in this one, whether it's first 5, whether it's full game. When you're looking at that under, could you make a case with Wheeler on the mound for the under of the Astros?
Right. You could make a case for the Astros team total first 5 on. That's what you can make a case. I mean, that's the only way I would really look at it. Unless Wheeler gets blown up. I mean, which is the variance that baseball always talks about. It's like BP and I talked about last night with the stupid Astros. How do you account for a guy going no 4 hit, no innings, and then a single, a walk, and a 3-run homer causes you to lose? And they get 2 hits the whole damn game. They came in the same inning, and it cost me and BP a win. Instead, we got to push. Like, unless Wheeler comes out and just is bad, which I can't account for him being bad, the numbers tell me he's not going to be at home, but that's the only way you don't get runs.
Wheeler did blow up against the Yankees last month, keep in mind. So he's not immune. I mean, it can't happen. Obviously, he's been very good for the balance of the season. But, you talk about opponents. Zinno had that nice breakdown there. He faced a top-tier team like the Yankees, and Wheeler did not do well. He gave up 7 runs, I believe, in that start.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if our friend Salvatore over on TikTok is staying hot, he's saying that Houston is winning. They're hot. They don't have to travel far for the game. And then he says that Houston is scoring 10 in the first inning off of Wheeler. So line that.
That is an aggressive bet.
Hey, Sal, let me drop a little tidbit on you. You know how they got from Baltimore, to where they're going tonight? You know
I love how he's going to talk Italian, though.
They took a freaking train, okay? They took a train like it was 1954. They got on a train. The whole team got on a train. You got that? And they went
smoking cigarettes on there and everything. Yeah. I mean, real throwback stuff.
It's a 2-hour train ride. At 10 o'clock, by the time they get out of there, it's 11 o'clock, train to 1 a.m., back to the hotel by 3. They're passed out. Don't worry about it. Phillies, let's go.
And you would have thought the Homer Phillies fan would have been fired up from Salvatore's gauntlet being tossed. Thank you for having my back there, Mark. Didn't even have to, but no, we appreciate all the comments. Keep them coming, folks, even when you're telling me that 10 runs are going to go against Wheeler. We love hearing them, so keep them coming. With all these great games on the board, guys, I wasn't thinking of talking about the Rays and the Mariners game or the Marlins and Rockies game, but let's at least talk this Rays and Mariners game because KFT or KTF over on YouTube Shorts is saying, okay, why is everyone having Rays money line versus the Mariners? There's no way the Mariners let the Rays mess them up, especially when the Rays been away for a while. End quote. BP, do you have the Rays money line? Because the odds would indicate maybe not everyone has the Rays money line. Pepio and Miller are the pitchers that we're going to be getting in this one. Anything for you, BP? The late night special, 9:40 is the start time at this one on the East Coast.
Well, I'll tell you what the numbers suggest is that there's not going to be a lot of runs scored in this game. Obviously, you see that with a total of 7. Seattle at home this year, number 1 in run suppression, Zinno. Number 1 in run suppression. And Ryan Pepio.
We're number 1 in fun
he's
suppression.
He's a good pitcher.
Okay? We're number 1 in fun suppression, right?
Run suppression. That means fewest runs allowed. Suppression. Look it up. Look it up. Anyway. I like Ryan Pepio for Tampa Bay as well. I don't like Tampa Bay as a team. I don't like what Mark Zinno is doing right there, as a matter of fact. But I just don't think that. And Miller, look, every single Seattle pitcher, you pick a name, this is true. They're better at home than on the road. So I just don't think there's going to be a lot of runs scored in this game at all. Whether or not you want to go under a number of 7, I think that number's correct. That's the way I'd look. I don't want to back either of these two offenses. And not only is Seattle good with the run suppression at home, they don't score a lot of runs either. So, again, I see no reason to expect runs in this game.
They're good at run suppression, and their runs are suppressed. I'm Bryan Power for WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, so much suppression. So much suppression, oppression.
Zinno got mad at me when I used the word suppression, like I had invented some word. It's in the dictionary, buddy.
It's not even a question. Like you just use words to sound smarter than you actually are. I've hung out with you.
Yes.
You used bereft the other day in a show, as if most degenerate gamers watching this show know what bereft means.
Well, we put the definition on the screen.
Can we give the man credit?
Every now and then he has to use a law school word. Your Honor, my clients are bereft of any guilt here. No, you're going to go get the
filibuster.
Go get the
Sustain. Yeah, let's give him credit. He's working in his day of the word of the day calendar. So I give Bryan Power credit, trying to educate himself and the audience using his thesaurus on a daily basis. I appreciate it.
What a pathetic little fallacy. Remember that from who's Eric from? Anybody get that reference?
Somebody did.
I'm not listening anymore.
Okay.
Not listening. I'm looking up words.
Well, BP, you do have a best bet here, so now we can all not listen. I'm kidding, my friend. I'm kidding. But I'm
the only guy who gets crapped on during their promotional part of the program on this channel. It's unbelievable.
I mean,
so let's at least hear you out before we hear what you have for $5 Monday here, locked and loaded. And again, all joking aside, folks, you never bought before. Great day. Just $10. You can grab both of these guys' plays that they have locked and loaded today. $5 gets you a best bet from your favorite capper. So a great time to try it out. But best bets for you, BP. No thesaurus needed when you're talking about the Cubs and the Pirates. Talion and Keller in this one. 6:40 our start time. How are we betting it for your best bet?
Yeah, I'll break the game down, then I'll talk about what I've got available on my page. Cubs Pirates here. Cubs lost yesterday 7-2, but prior to that, they'd put a nice little 3-game win streak together. They scored a total of 30 runs in those 3 games by themselves. That's it's swinging the bats pretty well. 5 straight Cubs games have seen 9 or more total runs scored, and that is what I'm looking for again today against the Pirates. We've got a number of 8.5. I like the over. Cubs are a higher scoring team on the road than they are at Wrigley. As for the Pirates, they get to face Jamison Tyone, who has allowed at least 4 runs in 4 of his last 5 starts. Not good. So I think the Pirates can put up some runs here. As for the Cubs, Just mentioned what they've been doing at the plate recently. I think their success continues here against Mitch Keller. Keller has pitched better at PNC than he has on the road. And he didn't give up a run in his last start, but that was in Texas, where the Rangers do not score. So a lot of run suppression there as well. 2 starts before that one, though, for Keller. He allowed a combined 15 runs in 9 innings of work. Not good. These teams, obviously division rivals, so they meet frequently. Over is 7-2-1 the last 10 meetings. Dan Tyone, he allowed 3 runs in 4 2/3 when he faced the Pirates back in May. Keller started opposite him that day as well. Keller was pretty good. That was the rare game where we didn't see either bullpen give up any runs. Cubs bullpen has been good. I'll tip my cap to them since the break, but the Pirates bullpen, bottom 3rd for the year in both ERA and WHIP. I think we're going to see runs here. That's kind of my theme of the day, I guess, on the show. Over 8.5 Cubs Pirates is your show best bet. But for my favorite play on Monday, head on over to WT.buzz/BP. And for just $5, you can get a 4% total, 60% with all MLB plays rated 4% or higher in the month of August. I'm off a 2-0-1 weekend. It should have been 3-0, but Yusei Kikuchi gave up 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th last night. So we had to settle for 2-0-1.
I hate
my only
Yusei
play. Well, I mean, it was terrible. But like I said, 4% best bet on my page, $5.
I mean, literally.
Yeah, that's a man.
Like, the only 2 hits they got in the whole freaking game came right there. Couldn't have waited till the 6th inning for that. No. Kikuchi had to walk the 8-spot hitter. Couldn't give up a 2-run run. Nope, had to walk the 8-spot hitter. Schmuck.
This is a safe space, Zinno. Don't worry. Let it all out. We're here for you. The chat is here for you. Hop below in the comments and let Mark know you are indeed here for him. And that BP, that's a man who is hitting at 60% here on top-rated plays in MLB for the month of August. The month of August been kind to our morning wager duo here. That is for sure. And Zinno, I know you already touched upon it, but just in case folks are just tuning in, you also have a best bet for free for the folks here, and it's in Kansas City, Cleveland, Game 2. You like that over. So the Cliff Notes version, since we talked about it earlier, best bet here today. Why do we like the over in Game 2?
2 starters with bad and high ERAs who get a ton of run support. Both of the starters, Logan Allen and Alec Marsh, get better than 5.5 runs of support per start. And yet both of them got ERAs above a mid-4. So particularly Logan Allen, whose ERA is over 6 at home this year. So I expect a lot of runs scored. Let's hope for a low-scoring, tight game in the first game where the bullpens are used a lot. That'll make it difficult for managers to repeat using guys in the second half. The Royals bullpen is still bad no matter when you use it, where you use it. So we could get some late runs if needed, but I like the over 8.5 in Game 2.
Oh, my God. I just wanted to send a shout-out to my favorite handicapper at WagerTalk, Mark Zinno. I've got your big ticket waiting for later, so call me. Let's make a sloppy parlay together.
I love a sloppy parlay. Chances high or low.
Look at that.
Number 1 fan, baby. Patty Johnson.
Always got my back.
Honestly, the band's not bad, Patty.
No.
Patty's... I'd go see him. Never forget. Floppy parlay.
I think the real question, though, Dan, is how's Patty, Zinno?
Well, she's a different version of the Terminator. Let's call it a Shulinator. And that's about it.
What does that even mean? Actually, hop below in the comments and try and translate what Mark just said about his number 1 fan, Patty Johnson.
Now you're making up words. Not in this book. Not in this book.
Not out of the book. Doesn't count. Not out of the book. So it's clearly an over Monday here for the folks. And check both these guys out over at WagerTalk. On your way out, folks, we're going to be wrapping it down here. But on your way out, make sure you hit that like button while you're hanging with us over on TikTok. Make sure you hit that follow on X, on Instagram. We would appreciate it. And like we said on the way out, make sure you subscribe as well. Over Cubs Pirates over the 8.5, best bet for BP. Mark Zinno going with Game 2. KC and Cleveland over the 8.5 as well. That's the best bets for the guys. Get the true ones, just $5, $10, and you get both of the guys. A great way to say thanks to them here on a Monday. We'll be back locked and loaded. First pitch coming your way each and every day through the regular season, 11 a.m. Eastern, a.m. Pacific here on the West Coast. And don't go anywhere, guys. 30 minutes from now, Wager Talk Today coming your way. Bryan Leonard, Andy Lang in the house, Teddy Covers, and Steve Merrill as well joining the Prez. So best bets coming your way on Wager Talk Today as well. Don't go anywhere. We also got the opening line report with Teddy Covers and Drew Martin for a Monday edition coming your way. So make sure you're subscribed, and we'll be rocking with you through football season. We appreciate you tuning in. Hit that like button. We'll see you Tuesday. Until then, best of luck, everyone.
All right, you're clear.